Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us yet again for more Ironclaw 2nd Edition. We're going to get back into things, but first things first, we'll go around and ask everyone to do the pre-game introduction, where you'll tell us about your character and their motto, and we'll talk about our group goals as well. So let's start with Theta. Theta, tell us about your character.
I'm playing Harmon, Donkey Soldier. Personality is relentless. My motto is I am stronger.
All right, and Arcloid next up.
I am playing Connor Lavera de Eclavis, the brazen raccoon knight errant, whose motto is one hand washes the other.
All right, and we also have Griffin playing Anonymous.
Yep, I'm playing Anonymous, the Armadillo Almoner. He has a phlegmatic personality, and his motto is first do no harm and second get paid.
And lastly, we have Rafferty playing the miraculously still living Anushka.
Every day is joy. Yes, I am playing Anushka, the microbat messenger. My motto is know no fear, serve with joy. And yes, I also have, I still have the mission to reach the Aberdapogs. I don't think we've reached them yet.
We did.
Nope, we did. We did that.
Oh, what did we get for that? Was it Insider with Connor's family?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Then, sorry. Yes, I do have that then.
Yeah, right now we're sitting in a situation where I don't think you guys have a goal, with the exception of Harmon, who picked up a goal to basically be an enforcer for an import company that's being harassed by a mob syndicate, essentially.
Well, being a group, everybody has my goal.
Okay. If everybody wants to take that as a goal, then yeah, everybody's got it. But we'll see. I think we'll pick up a goal pretty quickly in the narrative here as well, so you guys will have some choices to make. All right, so last time we played, I don't know how much you guys remember of that. You guys did make it to the Avoirdupois territories, to Connor's, the Lavour estate. And once there, you found that essentially Connor's family was being sued by the Enclume family of horses, who is a noble family that runs sort of like the number one smithing operation in the Avoirdupois territory, and they're famous for making weapons and armor. Connor's family is sort of like the up-and-comers number two, and they were being sued. I mean, sued feels like the right word. There's probably a better term. But essentially, the Enclume were claiming that they had been stealing their techniques. And you guys had presented some evidence to hopefully swing the trial in your direction.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
And if that doesn't work, there's always trial by combat.
Trial by combat. Okay. So, I wanted to. I think we're just going to kind of sum up the trial. I had thought of maybe getting into it in detail, but honestly, I don't think it would be that engaging. So,
yeah, we're not exactly the people to litigate the trial, I think.
Yeah, there's official people to do that, and you guys probably would kind of be underfoot in that process.
I can't even read.
Right. Yeah. So, and don't beat yourself up, because most people can't. So, but anyway, so what we're gonna do is we'll say here that the trial goes. It seems like pretty much all of the charges that were brought against you are specious at best. You guys managed to capture an assassin who was sent out by the Enclume, and you have basically proof of that. And that goes a long way to convincing the prince of the Crinier family, who is presiding over this encounter, over this trial, that the Enclume are just incredibly bitter, and he rules that they're not acting as nobles should. They're not acting, they have a baseless claim born of jealousy. And so they do rule in the favor of the Levier family.
Excellent.
This is incredibly irritating to the prince, Enclume, who makes a couple, not too cleverly veiled threats towards the family, but basically beats a hasty retreat from your province, from your territory, as that comes to light. Adrian Levier, the Baron of the Levier family, and Connor's father, seems overjoyed, or at least as near as you can tell, because he's not a man who shows his emotions very well. But Connor, you know that he is incredibly, he's happy at the outcome. He bids you and your friends to stay for as long as you like. And if you guys need some downtime, this would probably be a good opportunity to take it. I'm not sure if anyone has any outstanding injuries that still need to be cured.
I think there was only one, and that's been handled. Is that correct, everybody?
Yeah, I'm finally fully healed.
Okay, excellent.
And ready to serve.
Good. Well, so it's going to be probably 2 or 3 days before a letter comes from the Archduke of the Avoirdupois. One, I think his name is completely impronounceable. Guillaume Pierre. We're just going to call him Pierre Sabat, the Archduke of the Avoirdupois territory. You'll recall that last session, Connor had, you all had stopped through Chalon-sur-Saulge, the kind of capital city of this part of the world, and he had gained an audience with the Archduke and his court, and he had made an impassioned speech, basically sort of trying to rouse them into action against the Jakoba throne, using the burning of Mage Cross as an inciting incident. And this was very troubling to them because they are, the Avoirdupois specifically, are incredibly focused on matters of honor and chivalry and sort of upholding the noble values, which so far this new king has not really been doing. And he said that he would investigate the matter. So at this point, that was probably 3 or 4 days ago, and a letter comes to your family house, Connor, addressed to you from the palace in Chalon-sur-Saulge. And it says the following. It says that the Archduke has taken your warnings seriously. However, unfortunately, he is preoccupied with more pressing matters at hand, and is unable to investigate the Mage Cross situation. It appears that along the borderline between the Delorio and Avoirdupois territories, where there are standing signal towers that allow the Avoirdupois to effectively navigate their army, their considerable military force, to any attacks from the Delorio. And recently, many of these towers have been coming under siege by bandits. Most recently, reports of magic have also been found to be occurring in these attacks. It's quite clear that the Delorio are preparing a full-scale invasion of the Avoirdupois lands. And this is a more pressing matter than sort of the limp-wristed attempts by the king, Jakoba. He says that he's currently, if your fervor is such that you are still determined to follow this course of action against the king, then perhaps you wouldn't mind lending your assistance in investigating these terrible attacks. The most recent one occurred in the Abbey town, Abbey city of Harmony, to the north, pretty much on the other side of the Avoirdupois territories. and it ends up with a, respectfully, I'm sure if you have other things that beg your attention, this is not a problem, but it's generally an apology letter from the palace.
Guess you're pretty important if you get an apology letter.
Must be. Well, then again, we're now recognized as some of the best smiths, at least in these lands. Now that we've been the charges have been dropped. Not dropped, but proven false, I guess. So
Yeah,
I
I don't
guess...
be stealing in Clume's secrets. I mean, it's not a secret. They have a big giant forge.
Yep. And it's
You have
not
a big
like
giant forge?
we do.
Do you have a fire elemental inside it?
That I don't know.
The rumor is that the Enclumes use elementals to craft their stuff, but no one's really been able to prove it because they don't let anybody. No one goes inside the forge. Now they're just pulling your chain. They're just being jerks.
Well, I'm thinking in the vein of one hand washing the other. If I want the crown to help me, I'll help the crown.
You don't do it out of a sense of honor?
Well, that's the reason he's going to put out on the surface.
Well, I guess nothing like a little bit of quid pro quo, right?
Right.
So, how do you propose we tackle this?
It's weird for bandits to be attacking signal towers. Usually bandits are there to steal something. What are you going to do? Steal a flag?
It could be a very pretty flag.
I think this is a ramp up to something more pressing than just attacks on watchtowers.
Yeah, looks like war is brewing. Sigh. Innocent people will die and have their blood shed. What we've seen at Mage Cross is only a harbinger of terrible times to come.
Mm-hmm.
At least there'll be business. So,
well, to figure out where the bandits are going, we should probably investigate where they've been and then try to work out where they might be going.
They did mention an Abbey, didn't they?
Yes,
We did.
The city of Harmony is renowned for its abbey.
Yeah.
I suppose you guys would probably, those of you who have ties to the Avoirdupois, possibly also the doctor, since you were a resident of Bruges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bruges, which is also kind of close to this area. Sorry, how's it pronounced?
Bruges.
Bruges. All right, Bruges. So it's sort of in the area. This abbey is an Avoirdupois. It's part of the Avoirdupois territory. So the Delorieux is, they're not. Well, what I'm trying to say is that actually, the reason the abbey is famous is because it's one of the few areas where they've sort of synthesized the Sa'alumer faith and the sort of following of Luterra and the blessed way of the Delorieux have kind of come together to create this. It's still a sect of Sa'alumer worship, but it's sort of like a, hey, we can all get along and sort of do this together kind of thing. It has, so it's a melding of these two cultures, which bothers a lot of the more orthodox Sa'alumer followers, and probably bothers some of the followers of Luterra as well. But for those that follow in this abbey's practice, it is this sort of like hopeful union. Sort of like this is the way forward.
On the one hand, you've got the doctrine that necromancy is bad because not only does it truck with worldly spirits, but basically it's just you're enslaving spirits to do your will, and that's evil. Then you have the animists over there from the Blessed Lutara who say, no, the world's full of benevolent spirits. And if we just work with them, like we're all part of a larger machine, and souls don't die, they reincarnate, and time is a circle. And so those two ideas don't match. So then you have the Pelagianesians, or syncretics, if you want to say a shorter word, who say, no, these two can work together. There's both the shining light of creation that both gives and receives, and we're all part of this world. We do good in this world, not because we want to reward the next, because we want it in this world. And so, you basically got, the church saying, you're contradicting your whole heaven thing here. And we're having a hard time selling heaven when you're telling people they can have heaven on earth. And then you've got the Lutherists who are saying, we had this whole thing about sacrifice and how mysticism is unknowable, and you're trying to teach it to common. It's a big to-do.
Oh, to be sure, yeah. There's so it's an interesting. There's a lot of interesting politics going on over there. But I would say that probably as much as someone from the Doloro lands would be aware of a spot in Avoirdupois territory, this might be the spot. Like, this is probably one of the few places that I think Doloro could visit and not be immediately suspected of being spies or treasonous, or not treasonous, but basically being like, spies or informants for the other territory.
Suppose that should be our first stop, and off we should go to investigate the damages? Does that sound right?
I will say that if you ask around, you can find out that there have been these attacks at all of the border cities, although currently there's only 2 of these towers that have been effectively disabled. One was in... it was the first of Avoirdupois outpost that you guys came across, and now I'm blanking on the name. It was the one with the monks.
Honet?
Was it Honet? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Where the High Moors are?
where the what?
The High Moors. Haimor.
I don't think so. Honet is known for the Chandlers, the monks. They're kind of like, they're called the Chandlers because they maintain the signal lights in one of these towers, essentially. Right. And their tower was vandalized, and the all important lights and flags from it were stolen and removed.
This isn't, even a commoner like me knows that's weird. That's not bandit. That's people pretending to be bandits while doing something seditious.
Did we come across a group of suspicious-looking fellows on the way up?
I think we did, and then we sicked some of the locals on them.
Oh, right. You did that on your way out. That's right.
So I'll say also that this report from the king mentions that the city of Harmony, or the Abbey of Harmony, that their signal tower was also vandalized. In their case, it was burned down. Although the actual the means by which is currently unknown.
Well, I'm ready to fall in line. I mean, your investigation, going to the place and looking at the residue, sounds like an investigation to me.
Yep. All we have to do is travel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's easy. Whoosh. Then I have to come back. Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys haven't even left yet. Okay, so yeah. All right, you guys prepare for your pilgrimage. There are well-maintained roads between the major cities in Avoirdupois territory, so you guys are able to make it up there without needing to do much bushwhacking. And at this point, you're on your guard for additional attacks by the Enclume, or the unknown nobles that seem to have it out for Connor. and yet none come. You manage to make it all the way up to the Abbey city of Harmony. This city is it's interesting in its construction. It does have it does have above the, I keep saying city, I think it's probably more like a large town, and it is presided over by this large stone abbey that has it looks like there's trace evidence of Doloro construction in it, but it does have sort of the large imposing features of an avoirdupois building as well. And you can also see as you approach the town that sitting next to this abbey there is the large tall tower. It's reminiscent of maybe a windmill. It has these large sort of mechanical arms that could be raised or adjusted. And when you squint into the distance, you can see similar spires sort of dotting the landscape to the south. These towers, you might know if you're familiar with this territory, are used to send messages long distance and at a moment's notice, and were constructed in order to defend against the many skirmish battles that the avoirdupois are routinely fighting with the Doloro from across the river. This one, however, is a burnt is basically a tower of burnt down scaffolding and a pile of rubble at its base. You can see once you approach that there seems to be a lot of activity around the base of this particular tower. There is a small barracks where the avoirdupois guards who man the tower typically reside, and as you approach the village, it is a buzz with activity. You can see that there is also a stockade, basically where you would have prisoners sort of shackled up for their crimes in public view. And you see that there is one sort of young horse soldier who is currently in the stockade. You can tell that he is an avoirdupois soldier by the manner of his dress, although currently he's not wearing any of the you can tell by his armor, but he's not wearing any of the livery, any of the colors of a soldier in active duty. So where do you want to go first?
Well,
You've got the Abbey.
Connor,
Sorry.
right? The actual person with authority, right?
Yeah, so let's check out the Abbey. Now, this is where I am going to start faltering because I'm not that good with the political stuff or the mystery stuff. So let's see what happens.
Hopefully
Don't
we
worry.
didn't hurt the Abbey itself.
Yeah, the Abbey looks like it is it's probably easily defended. Like I said, it's kind of on a rise above the rest of the town. It has this stone construction which would make it very difficult to burn down. And as you guys make your way up there, you can see that it is unlike most of the Salumer churches that you have seen in your life. It has the unique features of the presence of a lot of plant life. A lot of there's actually sort of a small garden inside the grounds. Not even a small garden, probably a pretty considerably sized garden with trees and plants that are well maintained by the people who work there. But even inside many of the rooms and hallways, you can see they have hanging plants, essentially, that intermingle with the architectural design. You can tell that they've been purposefully planted, the vines and the ivy that grow over this structure. When you approach the main gates of the Abbey, it seems like there are several monks, followers, acolytes, who are busying themselves tidying the place up. And just inside, you can see there is a short, stout Boer woman dressed in robes of Salumer, and she's currently in a nose-to-nose confrontation with a tall and gnarled-looking horse soldier who seems like he has seen his share of battles. The horse soldier is kind of like glaring down at her and shouting, and she is sort of looking up at him with this impassive expression, hands on her hips, not giving up an inch. As you approach Connor, several of the acolytes will bow deferentially to you, and this catches the attention of the two who stop their bickering and sort of turn to face you. The woman approaches and gives you a respectful bow and says, "Welcome to the Harmony Abbey, travelers. I'm sorry that we are currently in such disarray, but you understand recent events have caused quite a commotion. But please, what is it that we can do for you?"
Actually, we came in regards to these recent events. We'd like to learn more about what happened here and see what we can do to stop any further attacks from happening within this region.
The horse soldier, he crosses his arms and he says, well, I had asked for reinforcements from Chalon, but I'm surprised that they would send a noble of your stature. When he says stature, he gives you kind of like the up and down look, pointing out the considerable size difference between you and him.
Okay.
But he says, I suppose it's good to see that the crown is taking this matter as seriously as I had hoped. And again, when he says seriously, you get the sense that he's being ironic.
Right. And then Connor will say, they are taking it quite seriously, as a matter of fact, and that is one of the reasons why I came of my own volition, to make sure that this was taken care of. There will be more people coming to aid you, but until they come, we are it.
He gives like a
And I do assume that there's going to be more people being sent by the Archduke or King of Avadapla.
I love your assumption.
So I'm just being
maybe
nice and promising they might come by, and we wouldn't be the only ones.
And then you wouldn't be the only ones. Let's hope. Yeah, I mean, there's the grim reality of the situation is that you had a much larger journey to make than anyone from Chalon-sur-Solge. So if there are additional reinforcements coming, they're sort of taking their sweet time about it.
Yeah, you guys are slow.
Yeah. Again, the there is sort of a typical, like I said, the whole premise of these signal towers is that they can move troops where they need to be along the border as quickly as they can. Although currently a lot of the, I think the command from up top has been, well, these things are under attack, so we should probably reinforce the ones that are still standing versus, diverting effort into.
It's a network. The way it works is because they're so tall, they can be seen from about 14, 15 kilometers away. So there's more towers down the road that see the signal and then relay it.
Totally.
It's like a semaphore relay.
Yeah. And again, I mean, what I'm getting at is that is useful because you want to be able to move your troops. So there's well-trodden routes between all of the major military areas here. They're used to moving troops to these spots when they're needed.
Yeah, this is weird.
And in a hurry, right? But yeah, so you guys currently seem to be the only support who's shown up. And this doesn't seem to delight the guard captain. The boar woman says, "Oh, you must forgive the signal captain. He sees this latest attack as a failure on his part. My name is Colette. I am the abbess of Harmony, and this here is Sir Raymond, lead of the guard of the Harmony signal tower, or what's left of it. And you can see his obvious displeasure at that last little jab there. Raymond, I'll point out, has a scar, a wound along the side of his snout that looks like maybe it was inflicted by a tusk or a claw, but it gives him this semi-permanent scowl, but seems to suit his face quite well.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Colette. If there's anything, of course, you need from a brother, then I'm here for you.
Oh, yes. We could actually very much use the help. Many of our acolytes are training in the healing magics of the healing way of Salumer, but many were injured during this latest attack, and, well, we're a bit short-handed. So, any help that you could give us would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
Well, if you would see me to the injured, I'll go tend to them. Connor, I know you have so much business to do here. I'm sure you don't need me to give you Snyder marks while you have a conversation.
I can do that.
See? Plenty of Snyder marks to go around.
I'm here to help.
All right. Colette will sort of lead you to where they have set up a bit of like a hospital, improvised hospital center. And she'll, make pleasant conversation. Oh, what do they call you, pilgrim? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that it looks like a lot of the injured parties are members of the guard that were manning the tower during this attack. But also, there are several townsfolk who seem to have also been injured, and their injuries seem to be mainly inflicted by their cuts and bruises inflicted by standard weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think I have some cats who are trying to break in. I hope that's not being picked up on my mic.
It's alright, cats are stealthy on the internet.
Oh,
So as a doctor, I have 4 dice to roll, and if I rote, I can get 2 successes, and that'll give everyone 2 quota for the day as I help them and go around. So you don't need to roll for like each individual.
Exactly.
More importantly, though, is while I'm tending to them, I could ask them questions about how did this happen? Are you okay? Did you see what these people were like? Did they seem like they were doing anything strange?
Right. Yes. Good. And for that, I'd say this is kind of a test of your bedside manner. Sorry, we don't need this map up, so I'm going to swap this up for a second.
You get bedside manner for being a doctor, right?
If only I was a full doctor. I only have the medicine gift.
Oh, you don't.
Wait, I got both now. I forgot. I improved.
You're not a real doctor.
I have a real doctor now, actually. Well, I was a real doctor before. Now I actually know what I'm doing.
There you go. All right.
Oh yeah, that would give me an extra D12 to just ask them about their injuries.
Hey, nice. So let's do that. Let's say that as you're treating people and you're taking your rote for that particular part of it, so you don't have to roll for that.
Yeah.
But you can take your bonus D12. And let's say that this is a will and
Inquiry.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was the one you were looking for.
That was the one I was looking for. I should have my reference sheet up here. There we go. Okay.
All right, so let's give it a go. 3 successes.
Hey, well done.
Very
All right.
nice.
Okay. Not only do you impress the acolytes and healers that work the Abbey with your skill, but all of the peasants that you treat and the soldiers, they open up to you immediately. They're grateful. So what kind of questions are you going to be asking?
Well, they appear to be injured, but like many of the townsfolk, they didn't like go after. Did anyone actually die during the attack, or did they just try to scare people away?
So you have kind of an interesting conversation where it's very clear that you and the patient that you're helping have very different ideas of what's going on. You're asking questions like, so were they coming there to injure you or just to scare you off?
Well, I guess it's like, did they like do a slash at you and then yell, or did they like chase you down the street and you lost them?
Well, no.
Like how that question would go.
Yeah, he looks at you and he says, "They haven't told you." No, it wasn't. This wasn't. It wasn't anyone. It was my son. My son turned and he had a crazy look in his eye, and we were in the process of gardening our crops, and he just slashed at me with this curved hook, the sickle that we were using, and gave me this horrible gash across my shoulder. No, all of us, it was a madness that overtook us. We were the villagers were attacking each other. It was horrible. It was horrifying. As soon as it passed, luckily no one was mortally killed. Or hurt more. Just this painful slice and some awkward family conversations.
Of course. It's a terrible sin for someone to try to take over another one's spirit and will from them. This is truly a crime most heinous.
Most heinous indeed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say you got 3 successes, right? So it seems like everyone has a similar story to tell. It all save 2. One of them is a young child who basically just has like some scraped knees and a bump on the head. Apparently, when the town went mad, he basically run and hid and hurt himself in the escape attempt, but not, it'll be cleared up in like a day or 2. However, he says that he saw the thing start. He saw a group of strangers dressed in cloaks approaching the town. And as they approached, one of the strangers, one wearing dark purple robes, pointed and seemed to command the others. And wherever they went, people, the villagers, just started to go crazy. They started to attack one another. And he shudders, and he speaks in a quiet voice when he tells you this, but it was a witch. It was a witch from the Delorio lands, I'm sure of it. You also managed to talk to one of the soldiers. The soldiers are a little more taciturn, and you get a sense that they're a little bit embarrassed by this whole situation. And you get out from them that this the actual destruction of the tower, they didn't see anyone in robes or these purple cloaks. No, they know exactly who it was that destroyed the tower. That was one of their newest recruits, a lad named Norbert, who's currently serving time in the stocks while Raymond, the guard, is deciding what exactly to do with him. But most of the soldiers agree that it was, that death is too good a punishment for this lad who not only betrayed his station, but managed to undo these towers that have stood for years, have done so much to protect their lands.
Mm-hmm. And I guess on some questioning on Norbert here, like he has probably a similar story of like going mad and not being under his own control. Is that right?
Well, Norbert isn't in the hospital. He is actually in the town square, basically getting rotten veggies thrown at his face.
Then it's there I should probably go and interrogate that matter, because, well, I do have the sinking suspicion, well, he may not have been under his own control. So,
Quite
after I've
possible.
tended to everyone, gathered some information, have a vague idea of how things went down, it's time to go and ask Norbert what's up.
All right. I want to jump back to
Perfectly fine.
Connor for a minute because I don't want to let him off the hook that easily.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So as the doctor was led away, you were kind of left there with Raymond now, the captain of the guard with the permanent scowl, and he seems thoroughly unimpressed with you. And he says, "So, you were sent by the throne. I assume that in addition to whatever investigation they'll have you conduct, you also intend to relieve me of my station. Is that correct?"
I was not told I would need to. How long have you been stationed here?
I've been stationed here for the past 5 years. I've served with diligence and duty. I've turned boys into men under my watch, and I am proud to say that I am undefeated in all of the 9 skirmishes fought with the Dolaru up to this point. However, I'm sure that was not enough to save me in light of this disturbing failure. So, I appreciate it, my lord, that you are being so candid about your statements, but there's no need. I know very well why they sent you, and I suspect I will be demoted. But until that time, I intend to find whoever did this and punish them appropriately.
And I do intend to help.
Hmm.
However much that might be worth to a man such as you.
Sorry? One more time?
However much that might be worth to a man such as you.
He says, "I've never asked for assistance or for help in doing my duties. I don't intend to begin now, but you are, of course, free to do what you will, and I do serve the crown of the Avoirdupois, so I will not interfere. However, believe me that no force on this earth will stop me from completing my duty while I still have it."
That is commendable, my friend. Now, with your vast experience, would you say there was anything different about this attack than any other Dolores skirmish that has come through here?
Yes, quite. This was no regular attack. I would have seen it coming, and we would have been prepared, and we would have turned those horrid beasts back across the river. No. This time they sent their magicians against us, their witches, their cursed heretical ways, and they used the magic from without, evil spirits, to cloud the minds of my poor soldiers and well, bring down the tower, hurt the villagers along the way. I will say that although your presence is appreciated, we are fairly sure we know the location of this particular witch. I have sent men out to capture them, but so far none have returned. It's only a matter of time, however. My men are the best, the expertly trained, and they will not rest until their duty is completed. I know this.
Yes, well, sometimes, friend, rest is not our choice. If it would please you, I would like to go and check on your men to make sure that they do still breathe and may still fulfill their role for you. If you think someone of my stature could accomplish such a menial and small task, I would be glad to do it for you.
Sir, no task is too small for a man of your stature. But you are my lord, of course, and I would not... I have no say in your actions. If you doubt the competency of my men, well, then it is your right to go and check up on them.
Well-
I can have one of them draw you a map to the grove where this particular villain resides.
Thank you, Goodman. I don't doubt the efficacy of your men. I doubt the hospitality of anybody who may have hosted them in their time away. The fact that you said that they should be here any day now tells me a few things that have me worried. Maybe not you. You know these men. You know them better than me. But to ease my heart and to perhaps get more to the bottom of this, I would like to investigate. So thank you.
Well, no. Thank you, my lord. And he gives you kind of a bow that you can't help but feel has sort of sarcastic undertones, but, you know, it's a bow. It counts.
It's good enough.
Yeah, it's going to have to be good enough from this guy. All right. Do you have any other questions for him?
None that I can think of. He told me enough with the fact that there were wizards there. He would ask what color robes these wizards were wearing so he could ask the doctor what kind of magic it was.
I myself did not see them. I only saw the effects of their magic. We were so busy trying to tear the villagers off one another that we didn't notice when one of our own fell due to his weakness and inexperience. And by the time we got him restrained, it was too late. We did what we could to save the tower, but it was gone. So short answer, he didn't see whoever it was who was behind this, but you know, he knows where he's fairly sure where he can find them.
Thank you, Goodman. Your help in this matter will be noted in any reports I make on this situation. I will be sure that the Archduke himself has heard of your bravery and skill, and he may then choose not to dismiss you or demote you if you do indeed prove to be a good help in this investigation.
Well, your patronage is appreciated but unnecessary. I have no illusions about my future, but if you need anything else from me, you shall find me at the barracks.
Very well.
And he sort of gives you another curt nod and then storms off.
He just, what was the guitarist or the lady's name, the woman's name?
Colette.
Colette. I will have a hard time remembering that name. He'll just give her a weak smile and one shoulder shrug, like, that was the best I could do. Sorry. Just made him a lot more sour.
She gives you like a very conciliatory, pat on the shoulder and says, "You must not let the commander's words affect you, good sir. He is experiencing a crisis of faith in his own way."
Yes, he's watching his life crumble around him, and he sees no succor in sight.
Yes, but it is Salumer who teaches us that there is always light. You just have to peer through the darkness, and I'm sure that he too will find his way. You need not worry yourself, good sir. Focus on your own duties, and you shall emerge victorious. I have seen it. I have a good sense for these things, but I worry about this witch he has in mind. I fear that his current mindset might lead to I shudder to say it, but unnecessary conflict, even war with the Dolaroo. It's not these are dangerous and uncertain times.
You certainly are.
Well, blessings be with you, good sir, and you, if you need anything else from us here at the Abbey, you need only but to ask. Now, if you don't mind, my acolytes require assistance.
Yes, may the light guide your path, good woman. Let me try to. Sister, that's what he'd call her.
That works. Sister Abbess, which I think is the female of Abbot, which in itself is kind of weird for a Sa'alumer worshipping sect, which traditionally is a male-centered religion.
But also, the Warrior Nuns, there's a specific convent for that.
Oh yeah, cool. I would actually like to hear more about the Warrior Nuns. I didn't come across them, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, syncretic is pretty. Everything about this is weird. This is weird. We should go back to Triskellion, where people treat each other right.
All right, so let's get back to the doctor and Norbert, the recruit in the stocks. And I mean, anyone at this point who wants to join him is more than welcome to. I think
Of course,
that
I'll like touch base back with everybody.
Oh,
cool. I feel like these two conversations were happening kind of simultaneously. So yeah, so I'll assume that you guys have all kind of grouped back up together, and you're approaching Norbert, who is you can tell that he's young. He's still kind of gangly. He hasn't grown into sort of just like the hulking muscled forms that you have come to expect from a knight and guard of the Avoirdupois. He still sort of looks like he could trip over his own legs, or would be able to if he wasn't currently locked up, essentially. His head is hanging out of the restraints, and as you approach, he doesn't offer any indication that he notices you. He might flinch if you come close enough. Oh no, we lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to approach, and with gentle intent. My son, I am here. I am a doctor. I've come with a few questions about what's occurred last night.
Oh, doctor, good sir, no. Spare your healing words for someone more deserving.
Well, there's none more deserving than you.
All right. You can tell that when he does look up at you now, and you can tell that he's been weeping for quite some time. It is just the most pitiful thing you've ever seen. He says, I deserve nothing but death for my crimes.
This may sting a little bit, and I'll go ahead and treat one of the wounds he may or may not have here, just for dramaticism.
Yeah.
And of course, he's helpless to do anything about it. He can do whatever I want. He's in the stock.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and gently ask him a question while I'm applying stinging alcohol to a wound or something.
Yeah. So he's got a little burn right on his forehead, right over one eye. It looks like maybe if you burned your hand on the stove, it sucks, but you won't even feel it in an hour. And yet when you dab this sort of healing salve on it, he whimpers. He's like, oh, yes. Well, I was weak, weak to the witch's thrall, and she stole my mind. I knew not what I was doing. I could have sworn I saw demons climbing the tower, and a voice inside me compelled me to burn it down for the sake of all. And Sa'alumer help me. I did it. I'm pathetic.
It is not your fault, but the witches, of course. You were but used as a tool. There is no sin in failing here.
But none of my brothers fell to her words. Yes, I mean, some of them fought, but I was the only one who raised torches to that building. The one thing I was tasked with, I was charged with defending. I'm ashamed to my family. Anyway, you get the gist. He's having a real pity party.
Of course. And I'll go, well, there's yet ways to restore your honor. You can help me and my friends who are now here. What is it that you remember about the witch if you saw them?
So it seems maybe unorthodox here, but I am going to ask you for a roll, because this guy he's in that place where like you try to tell him like, hey, and it's not all bad, but he's very glass half empty.
I'm definitely trying to comfort someone who's about to just accept whatever happens.
Exactly. If he had access to his hands and a dagger, he would just end it all.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So let's see. I want to. I would say this could be a negotiation. I would say will negotiation check. And let's see what you can get with that. See if you can bring him around.
Okay. The only thing I would ask to throw on top there would be doctor for I'm also treating his wounds at the same time, but that's up to you.
No, I think that definitely applies here.
All right. He likes that I'm professionally helping him with 3 more successes.
Man, you can't be stopped today. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When you say this, you can see, even though he's not looking at you, he's staring dejectedly at the ground. His ear betrays him. It kind of like twitches up. And he says, you think that there's a way that I could be redeemed? I mean, I suppose if there's anything I could do, what is it that I could help you with?
Well, my friend is a noble. He could pull some strings. Perhaps you could come and aid us if we go and seek out this witch. There would be no better way to restore your honor than to defeat them yourself, wouldn't it? And of course, however it goes down, I would sing your praises.
He looks at you and his lip trembles for a second and he begins to cry again. He says, "Oh, sir. Oh, I would know your name, sir. You've shown me such kindness."
I'm just a humble doctor. No better than anyone else.
Oh, but you're not. You're an angel sent by the guiding light himself. I doubt that very much that the captain would let me out of my bonds, but if he ever did, I would follow you to the ends of the earth, sir.
That it's good to hear that your spirits have risen. I guess then, there's only the question I have. What is it that you do remember? Do you remember the witch, maybe? Do you remember which way they came from? Or maybe even which way they went, if your mind was still with you?
He says, I remember, well, several of the guard were drawn away. There's a small town, or not even a village, about less than an hour's march to the west of here, and we heard news that it was burning. It was being attacked. So some of the more seasoned guard departed, and it was maybe 20 minutes later that they came. First, I just heard shouting and crying in the streets, and we rushed out to go and break it up. We thought it was some sort of brawl. Then it seemed like madness had possessed them. And then I saw what looked like a group of strangers to the town, clad in strange purple cloaks. And I remember at that point, I felt myself as if I was in a drunken stupor. They approached. I could hear whispering in my head, and when I turned to see the tower, it was under attack. Horrible creatures climbing it, scaling it, hissing and spitting. And the next thing I knew, the torch was in my hand, and I was, I was lighting the whole thing. It was horrible. It was like a nightmare.
I see. And once you had done that, did the witch's presence leave? Did they leave the village immediately afterwards?
I
I assume they didn't
confess.
tarry long.
I confess that I sat stupidly and just watched at what I had done at the. I sat there and watched it burn for what seemed like hours before my brothers in the guard grabbed me and brought me back to my senses. So I know not what became of them, but I assume that if they had been captured, they would be in the stocks just with me. So
Mhm.
I fear that they got away, that they escaped. Although Raymond refuses to tell me anything, he seems to blame me for this, and well, I can't help but agree with him.
One more question then. You said that a few of your fellows were drawn away to another town, that there was something urgent that they had to do. What do you know of what they went to do? Or where?
Yes, the town is. It is not the first time it has been attacked. Generally, it is a small farming village, and it is a small farming village. It was, and routinely either ends up as a target for Dolaru skirmishers, sometimes bandits from the nearby forest. This is probably the third time this year that we had reports of a raid. I'm not sure what became of them. Although generally those that come simply will steal crops, steal supplies, maybe injure one or two of the farmhands, but that's about the extent of it generally.
Of course. And it sounds awfully convenient for it to happen, but at the same time.
Convenient, yes. I suppose so. You can tell that this is a new idea to Norbert, but he's been very preoccupied, feeling sorry for himself.
I can tell that. Well, keep your faith light. I will return shortly. I have someone I must speak to.
Yes, he sings your praises as long as you're within earshot.
Okay. And I'll return to Connor.
Yeah, all right.
Sir Connor, if I could have a moment. I hope you're not too busy.
Not at all.
I've done some investigation. I've asked some of the townsfolk and even the poor gentlemen out there in the stocks, and I believe I have a better idea of what's gone down. It appears that just before that this witch came to town and bewitched other people, it seems that there was a secondary attack on a nearby village, one that's frequently raided. And of course, to me, it sounds, well, awfully suspicious that they would happen, but at the same time, and of course, draw guards away specifically to that end.
Indeed.
Of course. Well, I'm not too familiar with the local area, and I feel I would need someone to come with me if I were to go and speak with anyone, or if we were to investigate that area. And I can't help but notice that they have one of their poor soldiers out there in the stocks, and well, through no fault of his own, he was bewitched by magic. Perhaps you could pull a string or two. Perhaps he could come with me.
To act as penance for what he has done, or what he is accused of, at least.
Of course. And as the faithful Slumer, I can see to it that he will atone properly.
In that case, I'd like you to come with me as I do that, just so you may indeed console the people who might not wish to see him freed. That he
I
will
suspect you may
indeed
want to have words with the
reform
guard
them.
captain.
Well, out of care,
He
the guard
also
captain
probably
is
has
the
the
one I
key,
just talked to,
honestly.
right? The guard captain is the guy that Connor's already talked to, right?
Yep, Raymond.
We'll see what he says. He doesn't seem to like me all that much.
All right, you want to go convince Raymond to release Norbert?
Yes.
You can find him where he said that he would be. basically back at the barracks, there's a lot of incredibly cowed-looking soldiers that he's shouting orders to, basically ordering around. Currently, they're in the process of trying to clean up some of the debris from this burned tower, it looks like. And he says, as you approach, I see. So you've returned. May I come to give me more helpful tips on how I should be conducting the investigation?
I've come to ask a favor of you, Goodman, if you would. There's a certain Norbert who was instrumental in the enemy actions, but not of his own will. As a form of penance for him, I would like him to take us to where the wait, out of character. Where do we want to take him?
I don't think they gave a name. It's just a small village nearby.
I'd like to take him to
there's
a small village
village
nearby where there was a separate attack at the same time as the attack here, to see if he recognizes anything that had happened at this other location. I will be having a priest with me to ensure that this man is reformed. And of course, I bring high justice with me in case he does get out of line. Then he will no longer be a problem for you, Goodman.
Norbert, the weak-willed, the stupid, the simple-minded, and you would bring him with you, yes, on your search for this witch. Yeah, he seems like he's about to boil over. Let's get a will end negotiation roll from you there.
Right.
And I mean, I guess I could see adding nobility to this if you wanted to use your gift of nobility, because you're kind of pulling rank a little bit here.
Yeah, you are better than him. Don't keep in mind. You could tell him what to do. You don't have to take any of this.
I think I will use my nobility on this, kind of throw some rank out.
All right.
And
That looks like
help.
Yeah,
two
usually the way
successes.
nobility works in Ironclaw is you make the roll, and if you don't like the way it came out, you just tap nobility and say, screw you, I'm better than you.
I gotcha. Okay. Is nobility, I'm sorry, is it a gift that you expend? It's an
influence gift, so yes.
Okay,
So,
in that case, if you want...
If you tap it, doesn't mean you're no longer nobility, but it's like, one of the weird things when we were making the game is we didn't want players to buy something that circumvented using a skill. Like, we didn't want you to just buy nobility and then never have to buy negotiation because I'm a noble, screw you, screw the rules. So the way it works in Ironclaw is because it's influence gift, it's like you roll, if the only way it came out, you just go tap, I'm a noble, do what I say. With the theory being that each time you tap these, you're pushing your luck a little bit until you affect somebody. That was the original theory.
I like it, and I think that in this situation, I didn't realize that it was something that you were expending, so don't expend your nobility, because you wouldn't have needed it, right? So hold on to that. You still got your 2 successes, so Raymond looks like he's ready to boil over at the very suggestion of releasing Norbert from his current punishment, but remembers himself, I guess, and kind of closes his eyes, takes a couple deep breaths. He says, fine. With any luck, he'll perish on the journey, and the fates will have done my duty for me.
That's the spirit, Goodman.
He says, I will, he snaps his fingers, and one of his recruits, like, wordlessly just jumps. And he says, like, go release the traitor Norbert from his bonds. He is to follow these men and do anything that they tell him to do. And make sure that he knows that if I see him again, unescorted by these men, that I will kill him with my bare hands. And the recruit salutes, and he will go and unlock Norbert from his bonds, who seems to be happy to be out of them. He rubs his wrists in his neck, and he approaches you all and says, my lords, you have my sword. And then he kind of like realizes that he has no sword, and he says, well, metaphorically speaking, anything that you need me to do, I will do for you. Ahem.
Very
You know,
well.
suddenly I
Mhm.
think we should have kept some of those weapons from previously. Well, you know, I'm not exactly the best at foreplanning. But, I mean, you can come with us as our guide, Norbert.
Do you require a weapon, Norbert?
He says, I don't deserve to carry arms, but if it would please my lord, I'm fairly well versed with pole arms and short swords. I would even take up arms with a stick or a bit of wood if you think that that would be helpful in a fight.
Well, we can't have you out in hostile territory without some way to protect yourself.
Well, if really need be, you could always wallop him with this, and I'll, like, wave my expensive staff at him.
This expensive staff. Can you describe this staff for us?
It is an electrum rod. It is, of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
a symbol of my of my position within the church, and that I know of the magic of the light of Selumir. I'm just like, you could have it.
Are you going to hand it to him? Because he'll take it and be like, oh, yes. And he'll kind of like test its weight, and you can see that he's scratching his head. He has no idea what to do with this, but that he'll hold it like as if it were a sword or a spear, and like a two-fisted grip, and just be like, I'm ready to defend my lords against any threat, no matter the nature.
Wonderful. Well then, Connor, I at least have intention to go out there. Is there any business you need to do?
None here, no.
Then perhaps we should gather everyone up and head out together. Anushka,
Yes.
where are you flying around?
I just follow you guys everywhere.
Well then, let's grab Harmon and let's go.
Anushka is ready. She knows that you guys run into a lot of official missives, and so she sticks with you. Sooner or later, she's going to have something else to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do. A lot of messenger work is hanging around waiting. Plus, also this is curious. Like, so you guys basically know it's wizard, right?
Oh, of course. It's certainly a cognoscenti of some kind.
Right.
And
So
when it comes down to it, I'll need to be around with all of you to make sure that you keep your minds about you.
Oh, well, ensorcelment freaks me out. But part of my duty is overcoming my fears. No fear.
Serve with joy. Well,
We'll work on the joy part later. Right now, I'm working on the no fear part.
One step at a time.
One thing at a time. All right. So, as you are getting ready to leave, Colette, the abbess, approaches you, Connor, and she says, Sir, please wait. Just before you go, I urge you one more time, do not pursue this witch. I have terrible feelings, and I know that this might be presumptuous.
Call it exactly that point.
What?
I think Ark just gotta call it exactly that point.
Oh no! Okay.
Just before you give your little speech and he doesn't hear it.
And he doesn't hear it. Well,
Sorry.
she could address you as easily, Doctor. So,
Okay.
let's say this is probably addressed more towards Connor because he's the guy with the station, but also to you because she kind of knows you as well. And she's going to express to you that she thinks that there's something terribly wrong with this situation. She doesn't believe that the Delorio would attack. Well, I mean, she knows that they will attack. They've skirmished before, but she doesn't believe that they would involve their the Luterists. They wouldn't involve their magic users. This seems wrong to her, and she urges that you cross the river to Bruges. I don't know why I can't remember how to say that. Not to Bruges, even though to Oroville, the probably the actual closest Delorio city or town, where presumably these attacks would be based, to speak with the Baron there and to hear his side of the story, because she is fairly sure that they are not the ones responsible for these burnings, for these attacks.
Well, that's good insight, of course.
Yes. You do know, I should say, that this is kind of a tall order request. This town is known as basically like a military outpost as they go in the Doloro lands. They kind of have like their army is more of a militia, but this is like the big fortress city where all of the mercenaries and soldiers of fortune kind of go. And they're none too pleased about representatives of the Avoirdupois showing up, especially during a politically sensitive situation like this, where it seems like someone's starting something. Even if they are intending to attack the Avoirdupois, I mean, that would make them still very unlikely to receive official Avoirdupois diplomats. So even though Colette has approached you with this, it's kind of a tall order. But she feels the need to express her feelings. She says, I just have a terrible feeling. And if I didn't, I know that Raymond won't hear my pleas, and I believe that Salomere sent you all. So please hear my request.
Of course, I hear it, and I have the same feelings, of course. If you believe that perhaps there's innocent on their part, it is what we should seek and investigate. But nonetheless, the switch is still out there.
Indeed. Well, I believe that you will make the right and true decision. I have seen into you, and I know that you shine from within with the light. So, I appreciate you for hearing my concerns. And may the light guide you. And she does all of the very routine blessings.
Of course.
Okay. Which means that you guys may totally still go to this nearby village, the farming village, and investigate. And you also have the location that Raymond, I'm going to say Raymond gave you a map to follow, or maybe some verbal directions where he believes this witch lives. And lastly, if you guys are feeling very bold and want to make a bit of a larger journey across the river, you could go speak with this Baron.
Right, so we got a pick of choices then, I think. I guess whenever Connor is ready.